Resource. My name is Mark, back with another review. Finished the mini-series of Speyside reviews, so now moving on to just general stuff again. And today it's a blend. It's this one you see here. It's the Isle of Skye 8-year-old blended Scotch whisky. It's blended by Macleod Distillers. Now this particular bottle I picked up from Morrison's. It was on clearance. I picked it up for just a shade under £14. You can pick it up online as well. It is available from Amazon at the moment for £14.64 at the point of recording. It's also available at Moss's Malt for £18.94. It's the same price, £18.94 at House of Malt, and then Tyndrum are doing it for £19.50, giving an average price of exactly £18 for this 8-year-old blended Scotch whisky rather. It is chill filtered, it is colour adjusted, it's bottled at 40% ABV. Okay, so Macleod Distillers, you can see that just there they have their name. They are the owners of Tamdhu and the owners of Glengoyne and Smokehead, and Isle of Skye is their brand of blended Scotch whiskies. They also do this in a 12-year-old. So for a value score, this gets 82.5 out of 100, which isn't too bad a score at all for a blended Scotch whisky, helped along by the fact that it's sub £20. That does make all the difference. As I say, I picked it up for, I think it was about £13.82, something like that. It was on clearance from Morrison's. So we'll just crack straight on to pouring it and tasting it. So this is a blend of peated island whiskies, as well as their website says Speyside, but if you go to Tyndrum, they also mentioned that it is a blend of Highland whiskies, which they don't make a mention of on the label, so I'm suspecting that that information is wrong and that is just Island and mellow Speysides. So there's a good proportion of maybe Glengoyne, which is owned by Macleod, also in this. They do say that the youngest whisky in here is 8-year-old, but there is a high proportion of older whiskies go into this blend as well. No mention of where the grain aspect of this blend comes from. Final thing to say is Isle of Skye. You probably hear I said that it's got some peated island whiskies have gone in here. They don't say whether anything from the Isle of Skye has actually gone into this. That would be maybe Talisker, who knows. But the Isle of Skye name references the ancestral home to the Macleod family, and Macleod Distillers own this, so that's where the name comes from. Ancestral home to the Macleod family, Macleod clan even. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one, isn't it? So on the nose, what do we get? So it's got a typical blended nose to it, a blended Scotch nose to it. There's elements of sweet grain, bit of fruity character, barley sweetness, let's say. I would say the grain is probably offering up the most dominant characteristic on the nose of sweetness. In terms of smoke, that's a hard one. I can't say for certain whether I'm getting any smoke right now. There is something there that could possibly be smoke. In terms of cask maturation, they don't say, they just say that it's aged for 8 years. However, the tasting notes do say that there is some sherry influence, so it is probably a combination of cask types used, certainly ex-bourbon, sherried, ex-sherry casks, certainly on the palate. So I'm getting an ashy smoke on the palate, and there's also a lovely sweet. I'm not going to say it's peat, but it's a sweet smoke. There's honey, and I'm getting elements of heather in there. It's a bit spicy. There's elements of sweet grain. The smoke is actually, whilst it's not heavy, it is there. It's threading through the palate, and if you take deep breaths, it's more noticeable. It's nice. It's bitter and oaky and spicy on the finish, and it's a medium finish. It starts texturally quite watery, but then it builds, a bit of oil shows up, and the oil is just enough. It's the minimum of what they can get away with adding an oily layer to this. Now I'm getting quite a bit of spice, certainly, and smoke, that I haven't said, but I would have a pretty good guess that there is actually Talisker in this. The fruity elements to it, I wouldn't say they're fruitcake that they describe, or rather Moss's and Malt tasting notes describe it as having, but it's darker than simply apple and pears. I'm not getting an awful lot of creaminess. I'm getting more drying elements on the finish, and certainly on the nose. I'm not getting any of the creamy or the creme anglaise that the said you would get. What I would say is that for £14, this is a really good blended malt whisky. Actually, the average price of £18, I think it's worth it. I think it's definitely closer to being an everyday sipper than some of its peers. So we're looking at, it's definitely better than Red Label by Johnny Walker. It's better than Famous Grouse and Bell's. I think Teachers and this, whilst they're completely different types of blended Scotch whiskies, I think they're kind of on a par. It's probably just a level below how I would pitch Shiva's 12-year-old blended Scotch whisky. So, but it's not far off that in terms of the quality of experience that you're getting from this. It's a competent, actually quite tasty blended Scotch whisky. It's not at all sharp or off-putting in any way. It's quite good, quite competent for the price of that it's available for. Certainly on Amazon right now, it's a buy, certainly. The higher prices, certainly £18 being the average based on the discounts, that's probably the ceiling price I'd pay for this, 18 quid. It's pretty spot on for an average price, so it does quite well in my book.